Natasha and thank you so much for joining me today. Well, this has got to be one of my best videos. I am so excited for this one because I was cackling all the way through this. This one is super fun. You don't need anything specific to make this. No specific dies, no specific stamps or sets that you need to have. We can make this happen. So what you are going to need is a circle. I have die cut out the largest circle, which I think is about 4.5 inches or so. And this is from the Hero Arts circle nesting die set, but I'm sure there are other nesting die sets out there which do it perfectly as well. And then I have a card base to go along with this. Just make sure that your card base fits your circle, basically. And then we are going to be doing a little bit of masking. I'll talk about that in a minute, but it doesn't matter if you have masking tape, masking sheets. You can always cut up some bits and pieces so that we can create this. First things first, I do need to find the center of this circle because as you saw, we are making a spinning wheel. This, I'm just going to use the ruler vertically and horizontally and roughly get the center. Honestly, I could measure this up probably far better and get it to be utter perfection, but nothing about my card making is generally utter perfection. So we'll start here. We're good to go. I am just going to do my best. I will put a bit of a bigger dot here in the center for you so that you can see kind of clearly where I'm working from. As I mentioned with the masking tape, we do need to mask off some bits and pieces. So I do like the Masking Magic from Gina. In this pack, it comes with 1/2 inch strips, it comes with 1/4 inch strips like this one, or it comes with 1/8 inch strips like this one. So pretty thin, and there are, I don't know, several sheets of each size just in the one packet. Or if you have the Masking Magic sheets like these ones, then cut your own. That's going to work as well. I'm going to be using some inks today, obviously, for colour. And this does not matter. It doesn't matter what colours you choose. I'm going for bright and cheerful, but I don't want them too dark because I'm going to be stamping on top. Sweet Mango, Light Carnation, Wild Dandelion, Key Lime, and Sea Glass are going to be the inks that I'm going to use. I do want to make sure, as I said, I get a light application of these. Now, the masking is kind of the important part here. As you'll see, and you saw at the start, my masking is not perfect, but no one need notice because I think it's, they're going to get distracted by the card anyhow. So I want 5 or so different sized, this is like, wheel of, I don't know, wheel of something, you choose, it's going to land on one of them. And my idea here was that it's going to be like something, some of them will be funny, some of them will be loving. That was kind of my plan, and that you would spin the wheel. Now, originally, I was going to create a little spinning mechanism myself, but I came across a handy little tool. Now, you can absolutely make a spinning mechanism yourself, and there are lots of tutorials on YouTube. In fact, I think I have them on my own channel as well around how you can make your own versions too. So both ways are going to work if you want to do that. Now, as for the masking here, I'm going to use those 1/8 inch strips as my guide, mainly because that's what I have. If you have 1/4 inch or you want something else, then, cut your own or use what you have. I'm using these because that's what I have, and I want to keep it consistent. So I'm aiming for the center block there. And as I said, I want 5 different colored sections that have that white gap clearly defined in the middle. Now, if you wanted to, you could actually just do use your ruler and rule into the center with a black pen and make it a decent thickish black line, and that could be the divider of your colors. I was going for the white look here. Of course, it does leave a little bit of room for what if the arrow lands on that one. But, I'm okay about that. You do whatever you have available, and that might be, creating some lines with a pen, a marker. That's fine too. So I do have a piece of cardstock beside me, and I am blotting off some of the ink because, as I said, all of these colours are quite well saturated, and because I have these beautiful little helpers in my life who sometimes re-ink my ink pads, and they can be rather juicy, and that sometimes is a little bit unhelpful for very light ink blending. So it is good for me to try it on the piece of paper or something just to check out how much ink I have acquired onto my ink blending tool. But I just want a light but even colour. Now I will say with these Gina K inks, they do even out. I never used to think that was a sort of an actual thing that happened. I will eat my hat because this absolutely does even out just a little bit, but it is noticeable with your ink blending. Anyhow, popping around, all I wanted to make sure was that these were not all perfectly even. And as you can see, I'm using a bigger piece of masking magic, or you could use some post-it notes or something like that to protect the rest of my circle, the rest of my inking. I don't want anything else except for that little space covered. But I did use those 1/8 of an inch strips to make sure that I had a consistent gap between them all. Moving on to the last colour, I have some Sweet Mango. Now, when I was thinking about this, as I said, I want them to be like, some of them are going to be funny sentiments, but they have to kind of make sense with what you put up the top. So they could all just be random, I guess, like just a sentiment as is. But what I wanted to do is have the words, you know, some sort of words up the top that, and then the stamped bits would sort of finish the sentence, if that makes sense. So what I'm going to do is I just, on my card base, sit my circle there, and then I have masked off. I just use my circle because that's the guide that I have. I didn't want to measure. And mask off a little piece up the top. I'm using some soft stone grey ink to just blend a little bit of background up the top, just to separate it a little bit. I could have gone around it with a black pen too. That probably would have looked nice, but that's okay. And I'm going to stamp up the top, You Are. Now, I think this is from the You Are Lovely Simon Says stamp set. I forgot to pop it put it into the screen here, so I can't remember, but basically I was searching all of my stamp sets for a You Are. Here's where it gets fun. This is going to be the Strange Birds by AALL and Create. So up the top, it's going to say You Are, and then it will have the rest of the sentiment on the wheel. But you have to be a little creative. This one says, relax, you're not getting old. And then down the bottom it says, that ship sailed a while ago. I only want part of this because that sentiment doesn't make sense if you say, you are, relax, you're not getting old. So I blocked out the top bit and just had the getting old. And so it had, and then underneath, obviously it has the little sub-sentiment, that ship sailed a while ago. These Riley and Company sentiments there's like quite a few snarky ones, and some of them are really lovely. I love this one, but if you have at the top, You Are, and then I'm just going to stamp the not, so then the sentiment actually makes sense. You are not getting old. That ship sailed a while ago. So that was my plan. I had to adjust some of them, and basically it means you have to go through your stash and see what you can make sense. So I can't advise what you can or can't use for this one. You know, you might have all really nice things, but for me, I wanted this card to be a bit of a giggle. I'm using the Rock On by Art Impressions, and again, this one worked well. It says young at heart, old in other places. And so obviously when it's got the You Are up the top, it's going to say You Are young at heart, old in other places. So it does make sense. There are a couple of nice ones. I have one of the, I think it's called Space Doodles from a Gina K stamp set. That is You Are 1 in a Million. And that was like a space themed stamp set. And then I had the last one, which was from a little U2 stamp set that says You Are a Stellar Human. And I love that. So here's what I'm going to use. These spinners. I was going to make my own, but then I remembered that I have these from a fair while ago. These are cool, and I think they are cool because they work so well. They are little. This is the regular sized spinner, And then there are the Nano spinners. Now, I purchased these, I mean, like I could have read the fine detail, but these are small, like probably too small and too fiddly for me to be able to figure out. Tweezers, yes, you can make them work. They do work. I did try them. But for me, it's going to be the regular size spinners are my go-to. And they spin. They go. And so this is what is fun. The ones that I can create by myself, I can make them spin, but probably not this good. Anyhow, what I decided to do was put some double-sided tape and some glue on these so that the tape adheres it down nice and quickly and efficiently, and then the glue over when it dries after a few minutes is then going to, you know, really hold this in place so that people can spin their heart's content. So I'm going to pop some glue there. I held it down, made sure it was nice and settled before I put the glue on the other side. I can see I got some black marks on the back of the card here. Now, mistake number one, have you spotted it already? This card is not going to work for one reason. You saw that I have the You Are stamped up the top, but also look at that spin. This is real time. None of this is sped up, and this is just, I'm just going to let this go so that you can see how long this spins for. But there is a mistake on this card. Can you spot it now? Now's your time. Write it in the comment section down below. I mean, we're not aiming for perfection. There's lots of mistakes on this card. But look, there's 2 arrows up the top. And so technically that could point to 2 different areas. So I did rip this off. It did destroy the card base because my glue and adhesive trick definitely worked very well. So yes, I well and truly destroyed the card base getting this off. Yes, I had to make another one, and I could not find my little action spinners stamp set, so I drew my own little arrow, and that's okay too. So we recreated it, but look at this spin. Like, you can see I'm doing other things in the background, just being like, yeah, okay, I will just film this for them and they can see how spinny this really is. But yep, it really spins so well, and I love that. So really, really fun. Now, as you can see, the center is not utterly perfect. So I did get up a little, what are they called, split pin, and I took the splits off the back and then I popped that on in the center. Nothing has to go through the center of the card. You don't have to make holes, you don't have to put a penny or make, you know, cardboard circles or all of that work. The spinners are really, really cool. So this was a fun card to make. Honestly, I could not stop spinning this. The glue in the center there was not dry, but I couldn't help myself. Look how well this spins. This is not sped up at all. I mean, you could do this with all sorts of things. Like if you wanted to do choosing a pet, like as a joke, you know, I'll get you for your birthday, or, you know, who knows? And you could stamp lots of different things in here, but just a really fun, creative card. And I had a lot of fun creating this one. The orange one says, you were meant to behave, but there were too many other options. So anyhow, thank you so much for being here. Let me know if you have tried something like this before and if you'll give this one a go. There are some more videos that YouTube thinks you like right here. And other than that, I'll see you next time. Bye.